This is Terry from Fabric Junction in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. And today I'm going to show you how to make a placemat using 6.5 inch squares. And what I found was this beautiful panel with these wonderful sayings that I was able to cut into 6.5 inch squares to create our summertime placemat. So once again, there is a free pattern on our website, and it will help you cut your yardages. It can walk you through, but let's walk through our first part, which is half square triangle. And my favorite method, there's several out there, is using my 1/2 inch guide, lining it up point to point. And I'll tell you, sometimes it's intended to line up on the point, but because of the wording here, I can't see my other point. So sometimes I move it so that I at least keep a line and I have a line. So whenever you have that problem, okay, shift it just a little bit to make sure you can see both a line going across your point at the top and your point at the bottom. I use a sharp pencil, I mark it. If I was marking a darker fabric, I do dig out my white pencil or my blue one to do my marking. But today I have just a regular pencil. So now we want to line up, and sew on our line. On this particular one, we're going to sew on our line. If you think you've marked it too wide, sew with your line just to the left and have your needle run right beside it. Because sometimes we do get our line a little fat. As you can see, I've marked my hose stack, and I just go through and sew one after the other. Once I've gone through my stack, I just lift my foot, swing them around, and go back the other way. Wiggle them around so the points are down. Separate them and then cut them. Case, we're going to press to the dark. Remember, the rule is to the dark or the less bulky. Oops, stay that way. And if you have a problem pressing and they don't want to stay, or you can't get a nice crease, or you accidentally pressed in a crease, grab your best press, spray a little on it, and that will take it out. Once you have them pressed, get rid of your dog ears. And there's our beautiful half square triangles to go into our placemat. Okay, get all of them here. Now once you have your half square triangles, your next part is to line them up with your 2 inch squares. If I forgot to say, these were your 2 3/8 inch squares. By the time you create them, now they should be the size of your 2 inch. So now we want to line them up in this fashion and sew them together. And when I'm doing a lot of them like this time, I make a stack. I make my stack, and I go through and I sew them. I sew my top 2. I'll take it over there. I grab my next 2, and I send it through the machine. I grab my next 2, and what it does is it keeps them in units of 4. So once they're sewn, I can open them back up. They're already hooked together where I need them. I fold it over and sew again. And then I have my smaller square that goes into a larger block. You get them sewn together. This is the part you're sewing together. Then you add them to your 3.5-inch square and create 2 of those per placemat. After you have those put together, you will take the rest of your 1/2-inch triangle sections and you'll sew it in a row, a continuous row of 4. Now the thing I want you to watch for when you're sewing these together is the intersection from these points. And to make that easy, just go over here. Let's see, it's easier to see this one. I want you to go right where these seams intersect, slip your pin right into that spot. And then you can see it from this side. On this side you would slip it right into there. You would pin those 2 together and sew. And that helps you keep your points from being tipped off, that you can watch that closely. So now that you have all of your pieces done, you take a couple of your 6.5-inch squares, and we're going to lay them out. We'll lay out our piece square, and it's sewn together in this fashion. And then once you have that put together, add your strip, and then you have a 3.5 by 12.5 that goes on the side. And there's all your pieces for your placemat. Now the couple other things that you want to be aware of: when you cut your back, you want it to be bigger. So there's our placemat, here's my piece, and it is bigger. The other thing is a lot of times in the placemats, I use a really thick, this one is really, really thick. This is the one that is actually used in these mats. And it's just a very thick interfacing is all it is. Sometimes I use just the sew-in. This one here is the sew-in. Sometimes I have the fusible. Either one works. Another way you buy it, if it's not in that type of roll, it'll be on a bolt. And this one here is nice and thick. Not quite as thick as that one, but still gives you plenty of stability within your placemat. This one here is actually called Stiff Stuff, and I like using it also in my placemats. And if you're a person that doesn't like yours that stiff, that's okay. You can put whatever you want in there to make your placemat, give it a little bit of stiffness to it. Once you're done, you would lay your interfacing, put your piece on top, quilt as you would like. On this particular one, I just did a little stitching in the ditch. Let me go this way, right in here, and then I extended a line this way. So I flipped it over to see if you can see the lines. It's hard to, I know it's real hard to see, but there is just a little bit of stitching. It's up to you. Practice your free motion. I prefer to stitch in the ditch on small projects, but any kind of quilting you decide to do will be just right. Once you're done, of course, bind it using your favorite binding technique, or check out our binding technique on our website. So this is our summertime placemat. Check out our summertime runner that goes with it. And I hope you enjoy this video from those of us here at Fabric Junction.